If you walk into your kitchen late tonight, open the refrigerator door and stand there basking in the cold glow while staring blankly at a leftover slice of pizza or a carton of yogurt, you aren't actually hungry. You are running a 3 million-year-old survival program. To truly understand that midnight craving, we have to look past the modern supermarket and travel back to the baking heat of the East African savanna. The age of scraps. 3 million years ago, you were not the apex predator. You didn't stalk the mammoth or outrun the gazelle. When a pride of lions brought down an antelope, your ancestors hid in the tall grass, watching. Once the lions took the prime meat, the hyenas moved in to crush the ribs and devour the hide. By the time the coast was clear, almost nothing was left but sun-bleached skeletal remains. But humans possessed a unique anatomical superpower, hands that could grip tightly and the intelligence to strike one stone against another. Using sharp rock flakes, your ancestors smashed open the thickest thigh bones, bones too dense for even a hyena's jaws. Inside lay a rich, gray, trembling prize, bone marrow. It was pure, calorie-dense fat. They scooped it out with their bare fingers and ate it raw. They cracked open animal skulls to eat the brains, securing nearly a pound of solid lipids in a single jackpot. To round out dinner, they dug for thumb-sized wood grubs that crunched like raw shrimp. Fat wasn't an indulgence, it was the boundary between life and extinction. Your body still treats fat like gold because it remembers when a cracked bone was the only thing keeping you alive. The spark that built the mind. Roughly 1 million years ago, a massive shift occurred inside dark sanctuaries like South Africa's Wonderwork Cave. Humans tamed fire. Cooking changed everything. When you roast meat over coals or bury starchy roots in hot ash, the heat breaks down the tough fibers before the food ever hits your mouth. Cooking is essentially external digestion because your stomach no longer had to work for hours to process raw, fibrous plants and stringy meat. The human gut physically shrank over generations. The energy saved from downscaling our digestive systems went straight to our heads. Our brains, a greedy organ that consumes 20% of our daily calories, despite making up only 2% of our body weight, finally had the high-octane fuel it needed to grow. Fire didn't just warm our bodies, it built our minds. The sweet trap of survival. By 300,000 years ago, our menu expanded. Humans were hunting mammoths and gathering wild grains, but nothing compared to the discovery of a wild beehive. Modern tribes like the Hadza still risk life and limb, scaling treacherous trees to steal wild honey, despite being stung hundreds of times. Why? Because a single dripping honeycomb packs more instant energy than almost anything else in the wild. When your ancestors tasted sugar, their brains lit up like a scoreboard. Sugar meant two things: immediate energy to run from danger and easy conversion into body fat to survive the fast-approaching winter. The gods' pantry. Our ancestors also learned to survive on the edge of decay. When a large animal was killed, they couldn't finish it before it spoiled. They buried it in cold mud, hid it in streams, or left it in caves. By the time they returned, it was crawling with bacteria and maggots. They ate it anyway, finding that the fermentation made the meat tender, and packed it with life-saving B vitamins. Every time you eat a piece of sharp cheddar cheese, a slice of tangy sourdough bread, or drink a glass of wine, you are enjoying a highly controlled version of the primitive rot that kept your ancestors alive. Now, look back into your refrigerator. The ancient signal to eat every gram of sugar, fat, and salt, because tomorrow we might starve, is still screaming inside your DNA. But the world it was built for is entirely gone. If you were dropped into the wild of 50,000 years ago, you would likely starve surrounded by plants you couldn't identify and game you couldn't catch. But if an ancient hunter walked into your kitchen tonight, they would think they had stepped into the home of a deity. To them, a cold can of soda, a sealed loaf of bread, and fresh fruit from across the ocean would look like an impossible miracle. For 3 million years, almost every human who ever lived walked the earth cold, exhausted, and desperately hungry. You might be the first one who isn't, and your brain is still trying to get used to it.